The man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, will be appearing in court virtually today after initially agreeing to show up in person. Some speculate that Robinson's virtual appearance is because of security concerns or because the defense team is worried about how he will be perceived showing up in shackles. Former DHS Deputy Assistant Secretary Jonathan Fahey joins me now. What do you make of the court's decision to let him appear virtually over, one, apparent security concerns, and two, fear of tainting the jury pool with that image of him in shackles?
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. Both the defense doesn't want him to look bad in front of the people that may be on the jury, but also if there are security reasons or other reasons. But my understanding of this hearing in particular is just simply a hearing of whether or not he's willing to waive a preliminary hearing, which is an initial hearing for a judge to determine whether or not there's probable cause. So it's not the most consequential hearing of the case. So I'm not surprised if either side wanted it, they allow it to appear this way. Yeah,
people always hear he's going to appear in court. They don't realize that, boy, until you get to trial, a lot of these court hearings are just motion practice. And quite frankly, that can be very boring in practice and not as consequential as maybe the audience would like it to be. But my question is on the security concerns here. Won't there be the same security concerns at an actual trial, or is this a situation where it is so fresh what happened that this courtroom and this state have not necessarily been able to put in place the policies and procedures to keep everybody in that courtroom safe only, less than 3 weeks following that horrific attack?
Well, I think that point is very good, that sort of this is a fresh wound that everyone is focusing on. But number two, the security concerns may be able to be dealt with even now or at the trial, but they are very resource intensive. So it could be just simply a matter of how much resources do you want to put into every single hearing that he's in court, because certainly you're right. Once this gets to trial, this will be a media firestorm. There will be everyone on the public will be focusing on this, and the security I think will be as good as it can be, but probably every initial step along the way, it's a matter of how many resources you want to put in or are able to put in to each particular hearing.
That is such an important point, because as it stands now, both the prosecution and the defense of this individual is going to cost about $1 million each. And that's just from the lawyer's perspective. That doesn't include court as well. Meantime, I want to get your thoughts on this. Oregon suing the Trump administration after the president ordered 200 National Guard troops to be deployed to Portland. The lawsuit claims, quote, citing nothing more than baseless, wildly hyperbolic pretext, the president says Portland is a war-ravaged city under siege. Defendants have thus infringed on Oregon's sovereign power to manage its own law enforcement. The Oregon Democrat governor doubling down, saying there's no need for the National Guard. Contrary to President Trump's social media posts, Portland is not war-ravaged. There is no insurrection. There is no threat to national security. Complaints from Democrats and the far left aside, Jonathan, is this legal? And kind of almost more important to a certain extent, albeit you don't want to say that to a lawyer, is it working? Are these crackdowns having the National Guard in these cities protecting federal property working?
Yes and yes. And first of all, it's legal because President Trump has a right to deploy the National Guard to protect federal agents enforcing federal law, meaning the ICE agents have every right, and not only a right, a responsibility to enforce immigration laws. And we've seen these protests setting fires and other things, and in many ways supported by the local officials because they don't want the ICE laws, enforced. So that's number one. Number two is, are they working? We'll come to Washington, D.C., and it's remarkable how much safer it is on just the numbers, but the feel of it is amazingly, different in just a few weeks. So people are safer, and it's legal. And I think Portland is going to have a tough time in court because there is a discrete mission here. It's a 60-day mission, and to make sure they can enforce the immigration laws, because if Portland really didn't want this to happen, they would say, hey, we're going to stop being a sanctuary city, and Oregon could stop being a sanctuary state and cooperate with ICE, or maybe not interfere with ICE. And same with Chicago as well. But they are really just putting their own political agenda ahead of national security, national national interest and public safety, and they're going to lose in court, and they should lose in court.
Yeah, it's not an open-ended invasion of Portland like the left wants you to have you believe. Jonathan Fahey, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.